Kunja Vihare. Jaya Radha Mata Kunja Vihare. Gopi Janapalava Giri Bharatare. Gopi Janapalava Giri Bharatare. Yasharanandana Brajachannalanjana Yasharanandana Brajachannalanjana Chamanatira Vannachare Chamanatira Vannachare Jaya Radha Madhavam Kunja Vihare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paran Sabar Chakacharya Stutta Sarishi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Our glories to the assembled devotees. Our glories to the assembled devotees. The Glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, verse number 6. Maitreya Uvacha. Raja Shisheti Bhagavan. Karma Brahmanodita. Sarasvatyam Tapastepe. Sahasranam Samadasa. Raja Shisheti Bhagavan. Karma Brahmanodita. Saraswatyam Tapastepe. Sahasranam Samadasa. Raja Shisheti Bhagavan. Karma Brahmanodita. Sarasvatyam Tapastepe. Sahasranam Samadasa. Chant. Shisheti Bhagavan. Itaha. Satyam Tapastepe. Shisheti Bhagavan. Brahmarodita. Tasvan Tapastepe. Shanam Sa. Sha. La. Satyam Vastepe. Rajashi. Brahmana Brahmanodita. Swanam Vastepe. Sahasranam Samadasa. Maiche Uvacha. The great sage Maiche said, Prajaha, children. Shija, beget. Iti, thus. Bhagavan, the worshipful. Kardama, Kardama Muni. Brahmana, by Lord Brahma. Oditaha, commanded. Saraswatyam, on the bank of the river Saraswati. Tapa, penance. Tepe, practiced. Sahasranam, of thousands. Samaha, years. Dasha, 10. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Maitreya replied, commanded by Lord Brahma to beget children in the worlds, the worshipful Kardama Muni practiced penance on the bank of the river Saraswati for a period of 10,000 years. Purport. It is understood herein that Kardama Muni meditated in yoga for 10,000 years before attaining perfection. Similarly, we have information that Valmiki Muni also practiced yoga meditation for 60,000 years before attaining perfection. Therefore, yoga practice can be successfully performed by persons who have a very long duration of life, such as 100,000 years. In that way, it is possible to have perfection in yoga. Otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining the real perfection. Following the regulations, controlling the senses, and practicing the different sitting postures are merely the preliminary practices. We do not know how people can be captivated by the bogus yoga system in which it is stated that simply by meditating 15 minutes daily, one can attain the perfection of becoming one with God. This age, Kali Yuga, is the age of bluffing and quarrel. Actually, there is no possibility of attaining yoga perfection by such paltry proposals. The Vedic literature for emphasis clearly states 3 times that in this age of Kali, Kalau Nashteva, 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 there is no other alternative than Harinama, chanting holy name of the Lord. Mukam karati vatshalam pangam lankate girim yakantuham vande shikuram tinatarinam Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuremiritam Yena Tassamai Shri Gurave Namaha. The Prabhupada talks in the Purport about some kind of guru or gurus that give a mantra. You chant for 15 minutes. I did go to that guru before I went to Prabhupada. And he said 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening. And after 6 months, you will become God, or one with God. I said, okay, let me give it a try. So I tried very hard, and I went to one of their meditation classes, and half of the people were snoring. I said, I wonder if that's the goal, if you're supposed to sleep. Is it good for making you go to sleep? Is that what the purpose of this meditation? But then, of course, it didn't work. So then I went to the temple. I said, what's your process? Chant, dance, eat. Okay. If I chant, dance, eat, what will happen? You will see God. Yeah, I want to see God. I don't want to be God. So yeah, and Prabhupada talks about 60,000 years, Valmiki. So attain perfection. And Srila Prabhupada told the book distributors in the USA, if you go out 3 days on Sankirtan, then you will get the same benefit as the 60,000 years. It's the same tapasya as 60,000 years doing Valmiki's meditation. And so, yeah, all you have to do is go out for 3 days, and you get the same benefit. Isn't that wonderful? So yoga means to control the mind. The mind is actually can be our greatest enemy, can be our greatest friend. And the Gita, in 6th chapter, verse 6, Prabhupada says, the purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy. And thus his life and his mission are spoiled. Yeah, so the mission, yes. So 6 enemies are there, and the uncontrolled mind is the servant of these 6 enemies, and that is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya, and lust, anger, greed, delusion, madness, and enviousness. The mind becomes a servant of those instead of the servant of Krishna. And so again, another quote from Prabhupada, even if you go from forest to forest, if you're not self-controlled, you have to fear material bondage because you're living with these 6 co-wives, lust, anger, greed, etc. But even in householder life, you cannot harm a self-satisfied learned man who has conquered his senses. Arjuna compared the mind to the wind. And also, according to Bhagavatam, Gita is like a seed. Bhagavatam is like the seed is sprouting into a tree. So, yeah, Arjuna said, the mind is like the wind. But in Bhagavatam, it is told that the wind, air, is one of our gurus. The wind is our guru. In 11th canto, Uddhava Gita. How is the wind our guru? When the mind blows in different directions at once, the atmosphere becomes agitated, and if the mind is constantly attracted and repelled by material objects, there will be such mental disturbance that it will be impossible to think of the absolute truth. So one should learn from the blowing wind the art of moving throughout the material world without attachment. So what does that mean? the wind picks up some smell from a dirty garbage place. Then he drops it. And then the wind may go over the rose garden, picks it up, and then drops it. So we may go through happiness in our life, but we should also, and don't be attached, and just drop it. And distress will come also. And just, okay, now it's distress, and now I drop it. So we learned that from the wind. And so, how do we lose control? First there's kama, lust, and if it's not fulfilled, we get angry, krodha. And then they all go one after the other. And this is, so by yoga, we can control this. So also there is a story told by, I think, Rananath Swami about two dogs fighting. Many of you have heard this story. Some of you may have not, that we have inside of our heart, there's two dogs, and one is the spiritual dog and one is the material dog. And they're fighting for control. So how do we know which dog is going to win? And it's the dog we feed the most. We feed the material dog, it'll win, go to the movies instead of coming to class. If we feed the spiritual dog, it will win. So Prabhupada talks about eightfold yoga, 8 stages of yoga practice. So that is, one is yam. We have negative rules, don't do this, don't do that. And niyam is the positive rules, do this, do that. And asana yoga, you have to sit properly, as Prabhupada says. Pranayam, controlling the air. Pratyahara, bring the mind back. 6 is dharana, studying the mind, a preliminary meditation. Dhyana, complete absorption. And samadhi, and that's perfection, where you're fully focused on Krishna. Of course, some yogis say Brahman is the goal, and some say Paramatma is the goal. So let's see, what is this yam? What are these negative restrictions? According to the yoga system, ahimsa, not violence, satya, speak the truth, don't steal, be a brahmachari, be celibate, aprigraha, freedom from possessiveness. So these are the forbidden things. Niyama, there's positive things also. So that's, yes, we should be clean, we should be satisfied, we should do austerity, and we should study, and we should meditate on the Supreme. And then when you learn how to follow these rules and regulations, then you can practice asana, sitting postures, which people commonly think of hatha yoga. Then pranayam, when you're expert in asana, you can practice breathing exercise. And pratyahara, we take the mind away from sense objects, because there's an intimate connection between the breathing and the mind. And then dharana, which is samadhi, preliminary, and then dhyana, different intensities of meditation, and finally samadhi, where you're fully focused on Krishna. In Prema Pradeep, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the path of yoga is full of pitfalls, hindrances, and he explains the pitfalls of each level of yoga. At the time of practicing yama niyam, rules and regulations, religiosity is awakened, and you think, oh, I'm a great religious person, and you forget the attempt to get prema. And during the long period of asana and pranayam, one's longevity increases. He becomes free from disease. And you can be enamored by this side effect and forget the real goal of life. Actually, pranayam perfection, the yogis, they achieve perfection by holding their breath. Because you have a certain number of breaths before you die. And when your breaths are finished, you die. So the yogis hold their breath so they can live for hundreds of years. And they have a lot of breaths left. They just hold their breath for, hundreds of years, and then they don't die. Why do they do that? Because it takes that long to perfect the yoga practice. They just hold their breath for a while. We did have such a yogi in Vrindavan. He left his body. He was said to be 700 years old. And he wouldn't come down. He'd just stay up in his house on stilts, I think. But he did come down to give darshan to the devotees, Hare Krishna devotees, one time, and he appreciated Srila Prabhupada very much and Prabhupada's preaching. Then he went back up in his house. So, yeah, they don't associate with people, these yogis. They don't want bad association. So although, now pratyahara, bringing your breath back, your senses back, you get sense control, but if prema is not achieved, then the result is dry renunciation, which makes the heart hard like a stone. So this is Bhaktivinoda saying, during dhyana, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, material thoughts are removed, but if prema is not achieved, then there's a danger you will lose your identity. Or, not only that, you get mystic powers. And you think, wow, this is cool. There are examples of Prabhupada of yogis who have mystic powers. And one example was that his friend, he had a friend who had a guru who had mystic powers, and his friend he went to visit his guru, and his guru asked, what would you like to eat? And he said, I would like fresh pomegranate. So his guru went into another room, and he came back in a minute with a branch of a pomegranate tree that freshly picked. Because these yogis, they can go anywhere in the world and take whatever they want. And by their mystic power, they can reach very far. So he got the fresh it was from Afghanistan, where the pomegranates are the best. Another story Prabhupada tells about yogis is that they get up in the morning and they take darshan in 4 places in India within 1 hour. So they start in Haridwar. Haridwar is a holy place, and then they go down to Puri. So Haridwar is on the north, Puri is on the east, and then so in 15 minutes they go to Puri, and then they go to Setabandhu. They go to that Ramayan place. Anyway, forgot the name. Srirangam. That's at the tip of the bottom of India. And then they go to Dwarka. And then they go back up to Haridwar. How did they do that? Because there is a universal highway, and it's the Ganga River. It goes from the top of the universe down to the bottom, and down all the way. So the yogis, they go into this river, they go down, and then they come up. They come up in a few minutes. And they come up in Puri, and then they go south, and then they go west, and then they go north. And so for Kumbh Mela, there are such yogis, Nagababas. They come up from the Himalayas, they come down. They don't take the train or the bus or the plane. They go in the Ganga River, and they end up in Allahabad or Prayag. They end up in Prayag. They just come out of the river. They don't need transportation. So they just, and then they are respected as the first people to take the bath in the auspicious time. They get the first dip, these Nagababas. And then, they just go back, in the river and go back up Himalayas, Gangotri or Yamunotri. And so yes, these powers exist. In fact, I have a friend who is a devotee in ISKCON who practiced yoga austerities. Another thing that can happen is one of the mystic powers is you are not susceptible to heat or cold. Doesn't bother you. So he was in Russia meditating in the river in winter, and he got mystic powers. At the age of 17, he was in that river, and now he's a big preacher in Russia because he can cure people's diseases. He looks at your body, he says, okay, your liver's down, or this is the problem, you got cancer here. And he cures people online, and because he just has to look at you and say, yeah, he used to come to our Govardhana retreat, he's my friend. And I said, okay, what's wrong with me? And he just looked at me and say, oh, yeah, you need this and you need that. And I said, oh, thanks. Good to have yogi friends. But it can be misused. So you might get mystic powers, and there was such an example in India, and they have some mystic powers, and they call themselves Bhagavan, God. They say, I'm God. I can do this, I can do that. They would take they would manifest raskulas, they would manifest gold, and all kind of things. And they would have these special ashes they will throw on you to cure your disease. So he actually learned it from a yogi, and he had a godbrother, and the godbrother became a magician. And the magician, and he chastised him, why are you doing this nonsense and deceiving people? Because he says, I took also the lessons from the same yogi, and I became a magician, and that's what you are too. You're just a magician, nothing better. So, and he was even challenged by a magician, probably that one, that, whatever you can do, I can do better. He wouldn't take the challenge. And so, this is happening. This is happening. So which level was Krishna asking Arjuna to be at? Krishna was telling Arjuna, you be a yogi and fight. So we know a yogi sits down, his asana, meditates, and controls his senses. So how can be a yogi and fight? So this is the mystery of Bhagavad Gita, that you can remain a fighting man and you can be the highest yogi at the same time, highest sannyasi. Because in Krishna conscious, you have to fight for Krishna. And if you work for Krishna, eat for Krishna, sleep for Krishna, do everything for Krishna, you're a yogi and you're a sannyasi. So asana, pranayama, pratyahara. What does the yogi meditate on? According to Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, later on in this canto, 28th chapter, Krishna, Kapila Dev says a yogi should meditate on the most benevolent smile of Lord Hari. A smile, so we got it here, we can do that. And we have the smile of Govardhana. Should meditate on that smile, which for all those who bow to him dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. Should also meditate on his arched eyebrows, manifested by his internal potency to charm the sex god for the good of the sages. So yes, you can meditate on his eyebrows. And the purport says, the charming eyebrows of the Lord are so fascinating, they cause one to forget the charms of sense gratification. Conditioned souls are shackled to material existence because they're captivated by the charms of sense gratification, especially sex life. Charming brows of the personality of God protect the sages and devotees from being charmed by material lust and sex attraction. So Krishna consciousness includes all levels of the Ashtanga Yoga practice. We have Kapila Dev also gives the results you achieve from practicing each level of yoga. Here I have actually the higher levels. Pranayama, if you do pranayama in Krishna consciousness, you get freedom from contamination. You do pratyahara, you bring your mind back, freedom from material association. So this is 3:28:11. And dharana, freedom from sinful activities. And dhyana, freedom from the modes. So let's see here what it says in Bhagavatam. Find it. Oh, yeah. Pranayamaya dahadosha dharana vischakilbisham pratyaharen samsargan tyadena nisharangaram. So what is the parallel for yama niyam? Yama niyam, we have our 4 regular principles, don't do that. And we have our niyamas, chant Hare Krishna, do deity worship, go to the morning program, go to Mangalarti. So that's our yama niyam. Asana, we chant japa. Prabhupada did say, sit properly. And one purport, he did say, if you sit straight while chanting, it'll be very helpful for your chanting. Pratyahara, bring the mind back, of course, that's we try to do in japa. That is a practice Sanatana Goswami recommends also, to bring the mind back. And how do you do that? By meditating on the meaning of the mantra. Please accept me, Krishna. Please pick me up, place me as an atom of your lotus feet. And dharana, deity worship, and also service, just like, there is an example of one devotee. He's temple president of Sweden now. Forgot his name. Tapas. Good name. Tapas for him. He's really tapas, really, in austerities. So he used to live in Norway, and he used to actually, he would suffer so much from the cold. It was cold in the winter, heavy wind blowing, and snow and rain, suffer. Then he became a devotee. And then they sent him up on book distribution to Norway. And so what happened was nothing bothered him. He got the mystic power of being detached from heat and cold. He was out there distributing books in the rain and the snow, and people all took the books because they were so impressed. What are you doing out here in this crazy weather? Nam Niyam, you got our regular principles, Nishid, when we began, Prabhupada said, we began this movement, we never asked people, you have to do this and don't do that. Just come and hear Hare Krishna. So that was the beginning. And that's the beginning of many of us here. And asana, we have to sit and meditate. We can meditate in holy name, meditate on the deities also. And Prabhupada said he gives a concession for asana, either sitting or walking or standing. It's okay. In the early days, we were so sleepy, we would have to stand and chant. And all of a sudden, sometimes you would hear a huge sound, bang. Standing, they would fall asleep on the ground from standing. And so sitting, pranayam, Prabhupada says, as far as pranayam is concerned, this is in 3rd canto, chanting the holy name of the Lord and dancing in ecstasy are also considered pranayam. And according to Narada Muni, instructions to Prahlad Maharaj, 7th canto, 15th chapter, verse 24. Narada Muni says, you can counteract the threefold miseries by, I talked about that yesterday in Krishnapad. You can counteract the threefold miseries by doing 3 things. So the adhyatmic misery, the misery due to mind and body, we can counteract by hatha yoga and pranayam, Bhagavatam says. But our pranayam is not the same pranayam as the yogis. Chanting and dancing is our pranayam. Now, every day we do pranayam in arti time. And this story I also told yesterday at the Krishnapad, how it actually happens that pranayam can make you forget your miseries. This year, every year I go to Nepal and do a ladies' retreat. So this year we had 300 Nepali ladies. And a few years ago, it was only 150. And then a handful of Gujaratis from India, a handful of Indian ladies. So the last day of the retreat, the Nepali ladies, they love to sing and dance. Nobody can, and they even play the mridanga, everything they can do very wonderfully. 7:30 at night, they started kirtan, chanting and dancing. But it was the same time as prasadam, so one Gujarati lady said, I'm hungry, it's time to eat. Girls, and nobody paid attention. They forgot to eat. And then 8:30 came, Gujarati lady tried again, it's getting late. Nobody paid attention. 9:30 came, and she said, this is it. I'm really hungry. Nobody paid attention. So the Gujarati joined them and started chanting, dancing. She forgot to eat too. So, it's true. If you do that kind of pranayam, you can forget. Just like now we have the children of this world, they forget eating by going on their phone or iPad. They can forget also, but that's not healthy. That's not the way to do it. We should do our way, our method of forgetting. So that's pranayam. And pratyahara. Srila Prabhupada talks, this is an easy journey to other planets. Prabhupada talks about pratyahara, which means in technical language, the opposite. The eyes are engaged in seeing worldly beauty, so withdraw them, enjoy the beauty of seeing the beauty inside, and also beauty of the deities. So, just like the tortoise is explained in Bhagavad Gita, tortoise can withdraw his senses, and when it's required, he can expand also. So, Srila Prabhupada said, when you withdraw your senses inside for meditation, then that is Krishna consciousness, how to satisfy Krishna. So I did mention about that verse, 7:15-24. It is how to counteract the threefold miseries, adhyatmic, hatha yoga, and pranayam. That's due to the body and mind, adhidaivic, due to the weather, and demigods, meditation in trance. So that devotee was in Norway. He was meditating in trance on satisfying Srila Prabhupada. And he could actually be free from the miseries of heat and cold. Adhyatmik, adhibhautik, you can counteract by good behavior and freedom from envy. So these are the ways of bhakti. It's all included in bhakti. What's next? Chaitadharpana Marjanam. Yes. That's how we do it. No, there is more to come. Sorry about that. Here we go. Yeah, pratyahara. And then, so Stanga Yoga means to come to this point, Prabhupada said in a lecture, of smaranam. Smaranam. He said this dhyana is the third stage in devotional service. We have 9 stages in devotional service. Not 9 stages. He says 9 stages, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So Prabhupada says Smaranam is the third stage, and that's the last stage of yoga. Actually, if we remember Krishna, we're on the level of Smaranam, Dhyana, we're on the level of meditation. Smaranam. And he says we do that by worshipping the deity. We remember the deity during the day. And that Shringar, of course, Shringar, we do Shringar. So then we remember Krishna during our day, and then we're doing Smaranam. We remember Prabhupada, remember the temple, remember our service for Krishna. And then we're doing Smaranam. So that's the third level of dhyana. Prabhupada said dhyana, that's the 7th level of yoga, is our 3rd level in Krishna consciousness. Now we can do Chaitadharpana Marjanam, and that's the same thing. By chanting, we clean the mirror, we clean the chitta, mirror of the heart, and by doing that, then we can accept the rules and regulations. And the purport also says that, this yoga system, very difficult now. You want to be perfect, now you have to take many, many births, because you can't live for 10,000 years. So many, many births before you finish. But if you chant Hare Krishna, then you go way beyond it, and you attain the supreme, going back to Godhead. So the last 3 levels, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, that's described by Kapila Dev also in his teachings to Devahuti. What is it? Dhyana, I'll read the Sanskrit. Swadeshanyanam ekadeshe manasa pranataranam Vaikuntha lila vidyanam samadhanam tatatmanam. So what does it mean to meditate? It means Vaikuntha lila. It says, Kapila Dev says, you meditate on Vaikuntha lila, and that's real meditation. Matarana means meditate on me. Kapila says, meditate on Krishna. That's dharana. And so we're doing that by following our process of bhakti yoga. And then Prabhupada does say in 11th canto, the process of meditation on Supersoul, dhyana yoga, is not as pleasing to Krishna as bhakti yoga. Because in dhyana, the yogi is trying to satisfy himself and not the Lord by attaining mystic powers. So we chant Hare Krishna, do devotional service, and we can go beyond the Ashtanga Yoga practice. So I'll stop here if there's any questions, comments. And this is what Kardama Muni was doing for 10,000 years, and Valmiki for 60,000 years. But we just have to chant and be happy, and same thing. We got, okay, yes? Okay, over here first.
Lovely class. Prabhupada's made it so easy for us. And still, it's a little difficult.
Yeah, it's always
just due to our conditioning and holding on to the anartas and so on and so on.
Right. He's made it so easy.
Thank you.
Even Lord Chaitanya says, although it's so easy, unfortunate as I am, I have no attraction. Lord Chaitanya says in the 2nd verse. So that's the level of anartha nivritti where we're struggling with trying to progress devotional service. Pardon me? Change in attitude. Yeah, that's required. Okay, next over here.
you for the class. You were mentioning about Ashtanga Yoga, that it's not practical in this day and age. And devotional service, we get the same benefit and more just by engaging in the Sankirtan movement.
Mm-hmm.
So to what extent do we endeavor to try to get rid of the anarthas, and to what extent we just continue on in devotional service?
No, Srila Prabhupada has said you need to endeavor to get rid of the anarthas, at the same time do the positive devotional service. So what does it mean to endeavor to get rid of the anarthas? Is we do have 10 offenses to chanting the holy name, and we must endeavor to avoid those offenses. And that's not just during the chanting, it's your whole day. You can, criticize the devotee, and that's number 1. Or don't follow the Guru's instruction, number 3. It's there during our day. So we need to practice avoiding the 10 offenses, and then we can, that will be helpful. And it's also good to engage in meditation, not on the bad things. Meditate on the opposite, and that is Patanjali Yoga. You meditate like, criticizing a devotee. Okay, so today let me try to appreciate a devotee. Let me try to praise a devotee. Do the opposite. Okay, what's my Guru's instructions? Okay, chant 16 rounds. Okay, today I'm going to chant 16 rounds. Okay, so then thinking it might be imagination. Oh yeah, maybe, I'm chanting, but what's happening? Nothing's happening. I'm not getting tears in my eyes. I'm not getting shivering. But Lord Chaitanya, he also says, when will that day come? When I have tears, when I will have shivering. And so we can say his prayers like that. Shikshastika is very helpful. And then you meditate on the 10 offenses positively. If you meditate negatively, then that can stop you from advancing if you have negative meditation. And then, oh no, I'm committing this offense and that offense. No, just do the opposite. That's Patanjali Yoga. If something negative comes in your mind, immediately think of the opposite. That's part of his yoga. Yeah.
The negative closes the heart, and then you don't have an opportunity to take on the positive. Right. And then you just roll in that negative.
Yeah, you have to be careful not to have a negative meditation on the offenses. Be very positive. Oh, okay, let me do this today. Let me praise some devotee. Let me serve some devotee. Let me, praise the scriptures. Glorify. Share Bhagavatam with somebody. Share Gita with somebody. Let me talk about the scriptures instead of Facebook, what's on your mind. We do have, Prabhupada he gave a prophecy about Facebook 50 years ago in one purport. He said, there is a mental speculator exchange. So that's called Facebook. What's on your mind? You exchange, mental speculator exchange. You hear what's on everyone's mind. So Prabhupada did predict that. And purport of Shukadev's prayers, there is a mental speculator exchange. And we are experiencing it live now, virtually. Again, any other questions or comments? Okay, and after your question, I just remembered another story I can tell you about something that happened.
Thank you for class. You mentioned about the temple president, he said of Sweden, is like Tapasya or his name. I just wanted to hear a bit more about him because you said that he attained mystic powers.
Well,
is that just your way of saying?
I'm just my way of saying that he was he didn't care about heat or cold.
Okay.
Yeah, but but that's what the yogis do. So devotees can do that too. They dance in the rain, and I was dancing in the rain and the snow, and with not proper shoes even. We didn't even have, in Boston, and it was cold, and we didn't have proper shoes like sneakers or something in the snow, or even not even thongs in the snow. Can you believe it? It wasn't good. Yeah, back. She wants. Okay, have something more?
Of gaining tolerance.
Tolerant. That's the ultimate tolerance. Yes, you tolerate for Krishna. You fight for Krishna. Yeah. Again, no, Mike. Oh. Oh yeah. Did Prabhupada make a comment? Yeah, he said that the devotee depends on Krishna. He quoted the verse of Queen Kunti, actually, a verse about mystic powers. And the devotee does not even if he has mystic powers, he doesn't show them. Because he's depending on Krishna for all mystic powers. Krishna, he's a master of mystic powers is Krishna. We depend on Krishna, and we get all mystic powers. And that's my story also. I can give you an example. There was this one famous guru in India who called himself Bhagavan, and he had some mystic powers. So one devotee went to visit his temple, just out of curiosity, and somebody threw some of this ash at him. And then that night he was a hard time sleeping. He was being attacked by that yogi. And then, so what he did, he got a Padayatra magazine, or a congregational Padayatra magazine, put it under his pillow, and then that defeated the yogi. He couldn't attack him anymore. So, yeah. Okay, another question here. Comment on hers. Yeah, that was Vishujan. Yeah. He said, I'm seeing colors when I chant. And I think, they're seeing auras and stuff. And probably, don't worry, you just chant more, it will go away. That's Vishujan Maharaj. So it's actually an impediment. That's in first canto. Because Narada Muni, he got that. By doing devotional service, first he got knowledge, then he got mystic powers, then he got bhava. Bhava is the highest, more than mystic powers and knowledge. He got bhava. And so, Prabhupada says, I believe in that purport, that it's an impediment for devotional service, mystic powers. It's an impediment, and it can take you away. And devotees, and they do. It happens to devotees, and then they go away from Krishna consciousness. But some devotees are smart, expert, they can use it for Krishna. They use it for Krishna. And then those people who start movements outside of ISKCON, they may have also mystic powers. A lot of them are ISKCON devotees. Who, in Nepal, there was one yogi who was taking thousands of people by his little mystic powers, and he was challenged by our leader Patri in Nepal, and he admitted that I used to be a bhakta in Juhu Beach, Bombay, and I just I got enough knowledge that I could have my own movement. So it's like, because devotees are way ahead of people outside. I was just talking yesterday to some devotees in Krishna Pad and telling them how the yogis who get mystic powers, they can align themselves. They can take the soul up through the 7 chakras, and the 7 chakras are aligned with 7 planetary systems. Like Bur is Earth chakra, and then Bhuvar is the air, and Swar is the third one. Mahar is the heart, Mahar Loka. So when you align the soul with those chakras, you can go to those planets, higher planets. The yogi gets that power to go to higher planets. And then Satya, the highest chakra, is Brahmaloka. You can go to Brahmaloka if you perfect your yoga. Like we go to different countries, they go to different planets. But that's an impediment It's a waste of time. You're not doing bhakti. You're wasting your life. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. Glory to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Oh yeah, leaving tomorrow. Thank you. Hare Krishna.